introduce fellow doctor, Dr. Ben Bowers. We're gonna both open up and just share a little bit of our stories, and then we're gonna get into some information that we think is going to be beneficial to the entire community. So I will go ahead and start. If you don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Kareem Griffith, and I have a master's in microbiology. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and over 22 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry. And I needed to get healthier myself, you guys. That's why I started looking at this product. And I'm so excited that I did. I have an amazing story. I'm one of those people who were one of the early responders. I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure 6 years ago, and I needed to do something because my wife opened a bakery and I was eating all the cakes. And long story short, I had gained all this additional weight and I did not know what to do. I was sad, I was depressed. I had no idea where to go because you got to have something that's a catalyst, something that activates you to get up off the couch to do something about your life. And this came into my life, praise God, right on time. And because of that, I was able to have more energy. I was able to lose to date. Now I've lost 22 pounds. I've lost 3 pounds of visceral fat. I have no more lower back pain. My cognition is so much better. The brain fog is gone. My mood is increased. And all of these things are because of just one product that I was able to add into my lifestyle. And because of that, I am so happy to be here to share with information with you today. And so as a father, I owed it to myself, and each and every one of you on here, you owe it to yourself. You've already said yes to the opportunity, but what about all the people you care about and love? You owe it to each and every one of them to connect them with the information, to be bold enough, to have the courage, to have the faith, to have the belief that what we have is something truly special. You can't get it anywhere else. We have exclusivity, and it is pharmaceutical grade, but it's a nutraceutical. And what that means, we can go into more detail as we tell the story. But I want to pass it over to Dr. Ben just to tell you why he also is endorsing this product. And Dr. Ben, if you can come in and just share a little bit of your background, that would be wonderful to let people know where you're coming from and why you're here with us today. Thank you.
Awesome, Kareem. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Ben Bowers, Wichita, Kansas. A little background about me. I was the proverbial two-year-old doctor, meaning why, right? Why do things work? Why do things not work? Why do some people have results with some, whether it's nutraceutical, whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's procedures, things that we do in healthcare, and why don't they? And so there is a real quick reason why there. My wife had ended up with a very serious disease, illness, and in fact, there'd only been 37 women in the world have it at that time. And so I had to figure out why. And with my belief in my God and thinking that, he didn't create no mistakes, he didn't create any problems here, I was going to go figure that out. So that's kind of a little bit about me. A lot of different degrees: functional medicine, chiropractic, kinesiology. I can give you a ton of lists: sports physician, an epigeneticist, all these things that I've done. Because in the rate or the route of trying to figure out answers, it's like there was nothing that was going to be held back. I'm going to dig and dig and dig. I was a proverbial two-year-old doctor. All right. That's just what it was. I was a sponge. I would absorb everything I could. I was also blessed with a high intelligence or ability to retain a lot of stuff. And so that's kind of really helped me. So with all the different degrees, all different stuff I've done over all the years, I've been blessed to be in some pretty unique situations, right? I've done a lot of product analysis. I've done a lot of product formulation. I've worked with companies and trying to figure out what makes products work better, right? When we run into trouble with patients and figure out why the why isn't working. All right. So I've done a lot of that. So real quick, like a friend of mine, kind of like some of you, hey, are you open? Hey, are you willing to look at? Hey, I got something I want you to look at. I got something to see. And for those of us in healthcare, we get hit with that a lot. We've probably seen every new gadget, widget thing come by. And it isn't that you don't investigate it. You try to appease the people you love and you say, yeah, I'll look at it. I'll do some research on it. And generally, it's pretty easy to find flaws in the system or find flaws in the product, whatever it is. And that was this very case. One of my good lifelong friends asked me to take a look at it. I told him no, right? So I didn't, right? So finally, he called me about this that was coming out, the fix that was coming out. And I said, Jeff, I'm just not interested, you know. And he said, well, you've been treating my wife. She's got some pretty serious health issues. Would you at least check it out and see if it's good enough for her? Well, I felt duty bound as both a physician and as a friend to do that. So I went to the meeting. And my first meeting there, I thought, this is snake oil. I've seen this pitch before many, many times. They don't even have the product, and they're telling me what it's going to do. And so I left that meeting with the mindset that I was not interested. I was not going to do it. I was going to call my friend and just say, yeah, buddy, I don't think so. You know, maybe when they get the product, we'll evaluate it. Well, God had a different story for me. And he said, no, you're going to go home and do some research on this. Now, just kind of back that up. I am a co-owner of a research company, and we do a lot of research, right? Of the research. We vet out the research. We look at the research. We find out what makes this work. And so I went home, and for the next 6 hours, I was just amazed at what I pulled up, right? Pulled up the original research back in the 50s, back in the 40s, even some of the 30s. And I got a good chance to look at this from a historical perspective and look at what they really found and why they were looking for it. And then realize that nobody's really done anything with it until we get into the 2000s. And all of a sudden, I just stopped. I just felt the Holy Spirit said, what if, Ben? What if this really is what all this research says it's going to be? What would you do? And I just simply said, well, Lord, if that's real, these people ain't got a clue what they got their hands on, right? And so as a functional medicine physician, what I did is I sat down and said, okay, if I'm going to bring this into my practice, what would that look like? How do I measure it? All right. Because as physicians, we want to measure results. We want to see that something's there. We're not just in healthcare. We're in results-based medicine. We want results. We as patients, as people, as participants, we want results. And so that's why I dug into that. And all that's out there. You can go get those videos. You can hear all that stuff. But that's kind of what I started with. Now let me fast forward here, because now after 500 people that we've put on this product and we've watched it, we've measured it, we've seen the things from blood to urine to saliva to hair to stool cultures to DNA. And I have that on all these people that we've done all this stuff on, and we see the results. Well, guess what? We also see. We see the ones that it doesn't work very well on, right? And so I jokingly tell people whenever I start a protocol, I'm going to go find the one or the group or the people this doesn't work on, and I'm going to go figure that out, because that's what I do. That's the type of doc I am, and I dive into those things. I kind of tell people I'm kind of like that junkyard pit bull dog. Once I buy it in, I don't let go. You know, I'm gonna go find it. Let's find out the reasons. We serve a God who created everything, and I find it interesting that on day 3 of creation, He created this flower that for thousands of years has been dormant there, and now we need this, especially in America, right? Where 8 out of 10 people are having issues. And I was that healthy fat guy, all right? I've been paralyzed about 30 years ago, and I'd had cancer, and I'd been through some issues, and I gained a lot of weight. And even though I was an athlete, I kind of stayed very active. I kind of like Dr. Kareem there, I was just putting weight on, right? And by the time this product came around, I had ballooned up to almost 260 pounds. I was a heavy man, right? And I dieted, I'd done all this stuff, I'd done all these procedures, and I would be good at it, and it'd be off for 3 to 6 or 9 months, and then it'd all come back. Well, I'm going to tell you a story here for me. So I've been on this since July the 3rd. I've lost almost 30 pounds, 35 inches off my body, and have maintained that loss, right? And I am continuing it. All right, it's continuing to go down. I went from almost a stage 4 obesity down to a stage 2, and probably here, hopefully within another 4, 6, 8 weeks, I'll be back down in stage 1, which is just being overweight. That's phenomenal to think that all that can happen in a year, right? So that's kind of my story, and I'm gonna stick to it, but that's kind of where I am. So with that, Dr. Kareem, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, and we can go forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so the next thing that we just want people to understand is, because you guys are all builders and we want you guys to be able to have duplication, why is it important that people know that they don't need to know everything that we know to share this, right? That's really what we want you guys to take away from this call. We're not going to sit here and go back and forth and answer a whole bunch of medical questions. And a lot of times, what we're seeing is that we're getting messages sent to us directly. And I'll talk about how that affects me a little bit. And then, Dr. Ben, if you can jump in and just share your experience and what we are trying to accomplish, because we are doing this as a business, you guys. And you've been hearing a lot of talk lately about please not send messages to the doctors directly. And it's not because we don't want to answer. I answer like 90% of them. But our mission here, our goal here is to um, also run a business. There's a business side to this. And in order to do that, we don't have enough time in the day. You know, me working at the hospital, I work 14-hour shifts. I go in at 8 a.m. and don't leave till 10 p.m. at night. And then I have an hour commute to work, an hour commute home. And it's sometimes messages, there's so many messages that have been sent to us privately. I don't even have time to get to them. And here's the thing, guys. Every single one of those questions have already been answered because you have the doctor's roundtable, because you have all of the information in ACE, because you have a whole science folder. If you don't know what that is, we'll have someone share that collection with you in the chat. Because you have YouTube videos of Dr. Ben explaining things, Nutripath Nate explaining things. You've seen me on here. This is my third or fourth time where I've gone into the medical part of it. We don't need, we're not on trial anymore. And so, Dr. Ben, if you could just kind of talk about how that affects you, because we're legally not allowed to give anyone medical advice, right? We're not their doctors. We are doctors, we're not their doctors. And I have to put a disclaimer on every single time and say, I can't give you medical advice, but I would
Uh,
give this a try. How do you approach that?
Here's what I tell people.
Mhm.
It's kind of like you get up one morning, you go out there and your car doesn't start. What do?
Yeah.
You call the
Yep,
mechanic, you go, what's wrong with my car? He goes, I don't know. I haven't examined it. I haven't evaluated it. I don't know
that's
the
right.
parameters of what's going on with your vehicle, right? But if you can get it in, I'll do the examination, I'll do the process, I'll go through and I'll
Mhm.
diagnose, if you will, what's wrong with your car and tell you what it's going to take to fix it. It's the same thing when people call us or text us or email us and say, I've got this problem, or my friend's mother's brother has this problem. What do you think they should do? I can't answer that. I don't have the data. I don't have enough stuff that's there. Now, I will say there's been enough Q&A out there that's already been answered, as Kareem just said, that we cover the majority of things. And I'm going to touch on a couple things here really quick, because the biggest thing that we hear is what I have done or found in my research. About 22% of the people who get on this product. Now, you got to remember, this is over 500 people that we clinically observe and watch that we have had on this product. I'm not talking about the 50,000 plus people that are on the product, although that's the greatest trial ever, right? So if I just look at my research and go, 22% of the people get what I call a freakish, miraculous result, meaning they get the weight loss, they get the immediate reaction, they get Parkinson's that stop the tremors, they get stroke people that start walking and talking again. They are freakish, right? Or the miraculous. I also know there's 17 to 18% that get worse because of some reason. And I'll touch that in here in just a second. But in between those extremes of the bell curve, we know about 66% of the people about what's going to happen with them. And here's what we know. Most of the people who get on this product are already having a health problem. They already have some form of dysfunction, meaning their body's not working at its fine-tuned level. I have a lot of professional athletes on this product that they don't have a weight loss problem. They don't have, an energy-based problem. They don't have a sore muscle problem. They don't have a joint problem. Theirs is a complete different story. And when I watched and did all the research on those, we watched what actually happened to that dynamic of that body. So we call those healthy people, right? Majority of people getting this product have some health dysfunction or something that's going wrong. Why they're looking at this product? Right now, there's another whole talk we've done. It's called the 96 different body types. And we understand that we look at three major groups of bodies. There's ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph. And within each grouping, there's about 30 variations that are in there. Now, if you did all the analysis of the bodies, which I've done, there's over 140 some different body types. Nobody's going to get the same result. I'm from a family, I have 12 brothers and sisters. right? All of them that are on the product in the business and do this stuff, we don't get the same results. And we're genetically pretty close, right? So when we look at what happens to people in this product, understand everybody has their own route or journey they're going through because of what their previous healthcare was up to that point. So all of a sudden, we're going to put in an activator. We're going to put in a product that's God-made, not man-made. It's 100% natural, and it's going to go find the problem in your body. And if we look at it and all the research we've done, I want to add what Dr. Kareem said. I've literally got hundreds and hundreds of hours of research on this product, or actually on the mature hops bitter acids, right? And when we look at that, and I did all that research, there's several hundred different research articles I've gone through. I think in the white paper, I referenced over 65 different research articles, right? And here's what we understand, that when you take this and it turns on the activator system, and it's like you walk into your house. I tell people, if you go home and your lights are off, electricity's off, and you have a flashlight, you kind of know how to get around your house, don't you? But you don't see what's lurking in the corners, right? You don't know if somebody else is there. You don't know what it is. And all of a sudden, all the lights come on. Now, what do you see? You see all this stuff in the corners. You see somebody forgot to clean up the bedroom. You see it all. That's what the bitter acid does. When it hits the receptors and it hits those sensors, it turns the lights on, hits that vagal nerve. All of a sudden, 1,100 different systems are now on. And it reads what's wrong with that body. And when I did all this research, the number one thing the bitter acids actually do, they go after the oxidized LDL, or what we call the fat or the rancid fats. That is the number one cause of over 200 or the top 200 diseases in the human body. There's about another 70 or 80 that are associated diseases. But you're looking at the number one thing that causes disease in the body. How many entities of that inflammatory pathway are turned on in your body? And if that's the first thing it does, it's going to go fight that. Well, if you have another condition that's constantly producing inflammation, and this is trying to fight it, you've got a battle, you've got a war. And the longer you take it, the more you win, right? I'm gonna come back to that. The secondary thing that we look at, this opens up what we call the detoxification pathways, the way we get rid of toxins out of our body. You breathe it out, you sweat it out, you pee it out, and you poop it out. Just being straight, all right? So when you look at those phases, it's going to open that pathway up. The third thing it's going to do, it's going to go in and find adaptogenic, morphogenic, pre-cancer cells, right? And it's going to go to what we call a cellular apoptosis. It's going to go destroy those cells that are constantly being produced. And then we get to number 4, all right? Number 4 is we're going to get into the brown adipose tissue, thermogenic reaction, and we're actually going to start melting that white adipose tissue to use it as fuel to make the first 3 things happen. Now, somebody comes to me, let me just use me as an example. I have been paralyzed 6 times, all right? I've had cancer twice. I've had 60 grand mal seizures in my life. I was born without what's called the omentum of my colon. So I would go to the bathroom every 3 to 5 days, and that was normal, right? You think I have a lot of health problems in my body? I'm 68 years of age. I've been through hell, right? And a lot of different things. I understand what this does to the body. So I went back and looked at research, and here's what it is. I want everybody to kind of catch this really quick. This is not something you try. This is not something you go, I'll give it a week or 2 and see what happens. See how it affects me, because I can't tell anybody about it until I have my story, right? We're all there. Let's be real. This is human nature. So what I have found when I first brought it into my practice, I asked people to give me a 4-week trial. I realized in 6 weeks, I was ignorant as a doctor. I was expecting to do something that was not going to happen. So immediately I went back and tore into the research and found that 66%, they saw no benefits until they went past somewhere between the 8th and 12th week window. Wow. Now that's not the healthy people. That were the unhealthy people. So immediately I came back to my practice. I said, I'm asking you to give me a 90 to 120 day window to measure this, put it in your body, and let's see how your body chooses to respond. Your body's unique for you. And what I found is that 66% of those people, somewhere between the 10th and the 14th week, I found something that I could measure that was successful, that their body was reacting. And that's another whole talk on that later, but that was the point. So immediately I knew that if they were in certain categories, it was going to take a minimum of 3 to 4 months. Now, then if I went into the BMI, the basal metabolic index rating, and I went into those who are above 35, the research showed that they don't even have the brown adipose tissue to activate to go into thermogenic reaction to melt the fat and to start losing the weight or losing the girth. And that was what was really interesting to me, because when I dove into that part of it and I found it, that those people, it takes 45 days to initiate what's called a pleural potentiation stem cell. It took 60 days to turn it on, took 90 days to activate it. That means in 4.5 months, they don't even have the ability to make brown adipose yet. And we looked at that research. So within 4.5 to 5.5 months, now we've turned on the portion of your body to start creating new brown adipose tissue that now is going to go in and start burning that white adipose tissue down, melting that down, and they're going to see a growth measurement. Oh, guess who gets that part of it? Pretty much anybody who's over 35 BMI. Right? Now, that's not the perfect way to watch it, but that's what research is telling us. So when I started looking at this and I started seeing people who are in that category, I started saying, I need 6 months. I need a 6-month commitment from you to measure what's going to happen. So how do we express that to people? So this is for us, all right? This is people who's already in, right? What we need to understand is what we have our hands on. We have one of the most unique, dynamic tools I've ever seen in 42 years of my practice. And I've seen a lot, folks, right? And the further I get a person to stay on this product, the more it's going to get. Now, I'm going to show you a prime example of what I did, because of all the research I've done, I know the anti-inflammatory aspect of what it does. I know the immune boosting problem or issues that it creates or helps. I'm sitting in Destin, Florida, end up getting food poisoning, end up with double pneumonia. I've had double pneumonia enough to be hospitalized 3 different times. And I'm sitting there, laying there and praying and going, God, I'm down here on the beach. I do not want to end up in the ER. And he reminded me of a research article that I read. I won't go into detail of it, but here's what I knew. It stimulated not only the detoxification pathway to open that up and get the lungs out so I could get the debris out of my lungs. I got up and I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. And got to remember, this is unique. This is me being the doctor, me knowing my health, me knowing my history, me knowing what I have my hands on. I took 2 doses. And then 4 hours later, I took 2 doses. And then 4 hours later, I took 2 more doses. And 4 hours later, I took 2 more doses. I took 20 doses in 38 hours. 99% of my double pneumonia gone. Wow, that's miraculous. That's freakish. And that's a guy who'd been on the product for 7 months already, right? So when I talk about the power that's in this for the uniqueness of each individual body, you got to understand what this thing is. You have so many variables in those 1,100 different systems, how your body's reacted to its environmental world, everything you've dealt with, everything you've got exposure to, your thought process, everything. And we have a tool here that can go in and open that back up. As Dr. Cream says, I'm not diagnosing, I'm not treating, I'm just telling you my experience, right? But I've had the opportunity to observe so many different people on what this product does, from those who've had no results. I've got people who've had no results in 7 months, except they gained weight and gained inches. And I just said, hey, I know what research tells me. The longer you're on this, eventually your body is going to turn that corner. Right? I have all kind of kids that have all kind of problems, from 2-year-olds up all the way up, right? I've got 80-year-old kids that have problems, right? That were in severe dementia. I mean, I could give you that list so long. That's why we came up with all those questions to understand what was going on. So I want to leave you with one thing here, and Dr. Kareem, I'll turn it back over to you. Here's the thing I want us to understand. I ask people all the time, why are you here? You're ISRs. You're like the rest of us. We're building a business. But why are you here? Are you here for the health side or the wealth side? Or are you here for both? Why not have both? But I want you to think back a year ago, before this business you ever got in, before we even had this product. Where were you in your health and where were you in your wealth? And then I want you to do one more trip. I want you to go back into your history 5 years ago. Where were you in your health and your wealth? What questions were you asking then? What dreams or hopes or prayers did you have then that you were asking to get help on? Because see, that's exactly where I was before this product came by. And I almost missed it, people. I almost missed it. Opportunity doesn't come screaming at you and slapping you in your face. It's tiptoeing by you. And you have to be intuitive to the Holy Spirit and to be intuitive to go, what is that? And go pay attention to it. Now I want you to look at where you are today. What health issues and wealth issues are you currently facing that you would like to see changed? And then let's go into next year. If you do what you think you should do or know that you should do, what will next year look like in your health and your wealth? And then more importantly, what will it look like 5 years from now? Now, once you have that picture in your mind, I want to do one more thing. What about those that you love around you? What about their health and their wealth? What about your family? What about your friends? What about your friends at church, your friends at work, your neighborhood? See, if we don't have that love of Christ in us to think of ourselves as much as we think about our neighbors or love our neighbors, if we don't take this gift, this opportunity we've been given, and help other people change their lives, shame on us. This is bad. God has given us a tool and a gift and an opportunity to change the lives of people around it. I'm going to leave you this last thought. If I can change a person's health, I can change their emotions, I can change their frustrations, irritations, agitations, I can change their wealth, I can get rid of all that financial stress off their body, I can take it out of their family, and I will tell you, the dynamic of that couple will change. The dynamic of that family will change. But here's the real thing you need to hear. You're not just changing it there and now. You're changing generations, people you will never see. Because see, my wife had a rare condition that was in 4 generations prior to her. And we stopped it at my daughter. We eradicated a condition that had been perpetuated for generations. And you have within your hands the very tool, the very supplement, the very product, whatever you want to call it, to not only change your lives and those you love, but future generation. See, I have 10 grandkids, and I have grandkids on this product, right? This thing is paying for me to fund all of my givings to the people I want to give it to as a diamond. I'm blessed and fortunate. Now, you also got to know that all of us diamonds on here, we busted our butt. We still are busting our butt. We're not here for the money. We're here for the result. And what's that result? See, if you can dream something phenomenal in your mind about what a futuristic life is possible for you and your family, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, people you'll never see, I'm speaking to generations, 5 generations from now, I'll never see. I have the opportunity to change your lives. So that, Dr. Kareem, I'll put it back over to you, sir.
Oh boy, I think we can end the call right there. Listen, all that you guys need to understand is number one, what is the mission of the company? Has anyone looked that up? If you haven't, I'll read it to you. It's on the website. The company's mission statement says we are committed to building long-term relationships by providing breakthrough products that promote living an extraordinary life. Isn't that beautiful? That's everything you just said summed up in one neat sentence. Long-term relationships, guys, each and every one of you are in prime position to establish a relationship with the ISRs, to establish a relationship with the diamonds, to establish a relationship in your community with the people you care about the most, and do something about it. Ben said, we're not here for the money, we're here for the results. Those results it's like throwing a pebble into a stream or a lake, and the ripple effects of it, you guys, can literally change the world. And one thing that we want you guys to take away from this is that this is a gift. Why they call that HGM the gift is because this is literally a gift that each and every one of you watching, listening, replaying, listening on the recording, you have been given a gift of timing, a gift of opportunity, something that may never come around in your lifetime because you're ahead of the health trend. You're ahead of the wealth trend. And you have the gift to give this to other people so that not only will it change your life, but it's going to impact so many others. We are not saying we have a cure. For compliance reasons, understand we have products that can assist, that can support, that can manage different symptoms. Make sure you hear that. But through doing the research, through doing the work, through doing the due diligence, and even after all that, Dr. Ben, would you agree with me that even after we did all of that research, we were still skeptical?
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
I
We want
mean,
to see the
I mean,
results.
I said this is almost too good to be true. Once I understood what the vagus nerve really does and how it can upregulate all the different organs and all the different systems you talk about, how it affects it, I said this is real. I mean, I had no idea. Because for me, I'm not ashamed to say, like, this is not my expertise. You guys, when you come to me and ask me different disease states and natural things and body functions, that's not what I'm trained on as a pharmacist. I'm trained in pharmaceuticals. I'm trained on how to counsel you about drug interactions. I'm trained on understanding how different receptors and binding and processes and that's where my education lies. So this for me, Dr. Ben, is a complete paradigm shift. And I'm like a baby. I'm learning, but I'm willing to learn. And I understand all the words that are coming out of your mouth, that are coming out of the other doctor's mouth. And I'm able to take that and try to break it down to a third grade level so that I can give that to people that I'm sharing it with, give that to our field, share that with our community, and be a blessing to others because we're able to understand this information and put it in a way that everyone can get benefit. And I'm coachable and I have so much to learn. And let's just briefly talk about this part of it. How hard has it been? Because for me, it has been crazy outside of my comfort zone, crazy difficult. I just want people to see that, yes, we might know some of the medical stuff, but for networking and building and trying to hit diamond, like you said, that was some hard work. And we're still trying to get that every month. We're going after it. And every one of you guys, you see it from the outside, but we want to show what it looks like from the inside. From the inside, we're doubting ourselves. We're like, oh, are we going to hit diamond again? Am I stuck at double diamond? Can I get to those higher ranks? All of these doubts we have to battle internally because we're not traditional networkers. We both signed up for the health care aspect of it, and we believe in the health care. We truly understand that this is a novel product that has never been seen before and we're going to be able to save lives. But from the business side of it, I have to go to my upline. I have to go to the other diamonds. I have to take notes on every one of these trainings. How have you felt trying to build this as a business? Because you've been in this longer than me, and it took you a little bit longer to achieve the rank of diamond. Could you just share briefly what you had to go through and how you had to wrap your head around what was necessary to get that done?
Oh, well, for those of you who don't know, as doctors went to this and saw what it was, I go, well, I could care less about that business side. I don't need that. I just want the product. I want to see results. And so the funny part was, as we start getting a bunch of people on, they go, hey, can my husband get on this? My wife get on this? My neighbor, my whatever, And I'm like, well, yeah, sure. And I just sold it to them at retail. I wasn't here for the money. I'm here for the health results, right? And so finally, after we had like 100 some people buying it from us, I'm going, why are we stocking and doing all this for other people? I called Byron up and I go, okay, whatever this is, I need to change because I've already got 4 businesses. I don't need another one taking over all this time and my staff and everybody else at the office. And I'm trying to get ready to retire. And I just didn't want that. And he's like, why are you doing that? Let's go build the right business. I'm like, okay, it's not my forte. I don't want to do it. I'm very skeptical, as Kareem says. I who is my circle of influence? It's either my patients, my friends at church, or my doctors that I've taught thousands of thousands, 20, 30, 40,000 doctors over the years. That's my circle of influence. Y'all don't want doctors in this. I'm telling you, I've got about 26 doctors in my group, and they're the hardest people to get to do anything
Mm,
right.
that's
So
right.
I had to learn that. But here's what Kareem said. I sat down with Byron. I said, okay, teach me, coach. Tell me what to do. Now, here's the funny part, right? We're men of action and things have to happen. He says, pull out your phone. How many people you got in there? I go, well, a bunch. He goes, you got 100 people you like? Well, yeah. You got 50 that like you? Well, yeah. You got 25 that love you? Well, of course I do. All right, let's send them a message right now. I go, okay, I'll do that. And he goes, no, I mean right now. Oh, no. Oh, he put me on the spot. I, you mean like right now? He goes, right now. There's no better time than now. Let's go. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to do. He goes, here, I'll write it out for you. He writes out on the whiteboard. He goes, say this in your text and shoot every one of this. Well, I didn't even have A, so we got me on A, so we did all that stuff. Now, let me tell you what happened. I sent out 32 messages in less than an hour. 5 days later, 17 of them had opened it. 14 wanted more information. Go forward 30 days. Of the 32 that I sent out, 25 people had opened it and 22 were already in. Now, here's the problem. They didn't do
Wow.
nothing. Didn't do nothing. But it was enough of a catalyst to start making that happen. So I tell you, it takes work. You got to find a lot of ways. I'm sure Dr. Lynn and Dr. Kareem, all you, I mean, it's rough sometimes, right? And I can't take it to my practice. So anything that we said in the practice, you couldn't talk about the business in the office. We used to have what's called the curb law. You got to go out to the curb and have a conversation. Now, that's what we have in Kansas, right? So when we start dealing with that, I'm going, okay, if this is going to work, it's got to work where it doesn't consume my life. Well, it did to some degree, still had. I retired in October out of the office. I still do my telemedicine calls around the world, but I don't work in my office anymore, so now I have more time to do this. So anyway, hopefully that helps some.
Yeah, it definitely helps you guys. I want people to understand. People assume they see the word doctor and they assume you're doing great. They assume you have all the money in the world. You have no problems. You are so lucky because you're a doctor. This is not reality, you guys. We need to get that out of your head. We are struggling. We are humble enough to tell you guys honestly that we need help and we don't know how to do this. And so when there are systems in place like what Byron and Jim and Terry have put together, if we can just get out of our own way and out of our own cerebral, try to understand. No, stop. We talk too much. We give too much information, medical. We need to shut it down sometimes. Just listen and get it done. And that's what I had to do. Get out of the way, ride the momentum, pick up the phone just like you did. Call 100 people and probably only five of those people said yes. Call another 100 people, another 5 to 10, where I think I've signed up something like 54 people today. And I'm turning 50 in August. My thing was I wanted to help 50 people change their lives for my 50th birthday. That was going to be my gift to the world, Dr. Ben.
Great
And
deal.
I am so grateful to say that 3,500 people have joined
Wow.
me on this health journey today. And that's the thing, you guys. Our ideas, our concepts of what we can do are so small in comparison to God's plan for our lives. If we just get out of the way and do the work, if we trust Him, we want each and every one of you to walk away today empowered with understanding that you have an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? We know you guys are not going to do the research that we've done.
Don't need
We
to.
know, yeah, we or need to at all. But what you can do is you can surpass us easily in the business side of it. Absolutely. We have done the work because that's something that we needed for our belief. Please borrow that belief. Please understand that we have these hero products. And so the last thing we'll say, we don't want to get into this, and I need us to really kind of wrap it up, and then we're going to ask the diamonds. Um, if they have any questions for us, and we're going to close this out, and we want to make sure we tighten this up, um, is how do you feel about the other hero products that are coming out? And briefly, because I'm excited about Imulin 5, I'm excited about their berry product, but Putting that into play, you guys, how are you feeling about what we're bringing to the table in the next few months and why that's going to be so important for our patients, for ourselves? We need those products ourselves, and for everyone listening right now as ISRs, what do you envision that doing for this, for our company?
Kareem, let me put it this way. First of all, we've already done the research, right?
Yep.
We already have all the product. We already have all the substrates, all the different things we know. We know what works, what doesn't work. We know how to make it work, right? Because of the different research, we've had some different trial testing we've already done. So we know what these three products are going to do. These three hero products. If I just kind of go to them, I'm not going to leave out NZ fulvic acid because that's a critical one for a lot of people. But if we're going to talk about the fix, and I tell people it's the spearhead, if you will. When we say that, I tell people in my mind, it's that first domino. It turns everything on, and now it knows what to go after. Then we can bring along the Immunin 5. The Immunin 5 is going to be very unique in some of the things that it actually helps us do from what we call the sugar, fat, sugar, protein side, where it's going to run a couple things that a lot of people have problems with, and that's from brain all the way down. Okay. Then we're going to look at the berry product. I'm going to look at that as an accelerator. Now, not a stimulator in that sense, but it'll take what already is happening with the fix and with the Immunin 5, and it's going to make that go faster through the body, right? We talked about the electron transport chain system, how that turns all that on. We're going to see some phenomenal things start happening already. Now, when you actually look at what's going on between these three hero products for sure, right? Once again, I'm not leaving out fulvic acid. But if I'm going to look at the Immunin 5, I'm going to talk about a sugar regulatory control, which is energy regulation, which goes from brain to liver to pancreas to gut to your circulatory system, everywhere else that it has to go. That's going to manage the utilization of energy production and energy utilization. Okay. The fix we know is
Hmm.
specifically designed to go after the visceral fat, all right, which is the enteric fat around all of our internal organs. It does pick up other fats as well. Don't forget, you have brain fat, bone fat, muscle fat, enteric fat. You got all kinds of fat within the body, and we're going to see some results with that. But then the berry product, it's designed to go after the subcutaneous fat. And when you put those concepts together, that you're managing mitochondrial energy production centers, you're upregulating the production centers to get into utilization phases, so you have better utilization. Now, all of a sudden, not only are you burning the excess stored fat, you're also burning the excess bad fat, if I can use that term, in the visceral adipose tissue, the rancid fats, the free fatty acids. And now you're going to start making this body actually process the totality of the body in a lot better way. So when I look at these three aspects, I call it the three-legged stool of what's going to happen. For those who have a fat metabolism issue, and we can go to the genetic side and talk all about that. We won't on this one, but if I look at those phases, I can actually turn on the dysfunctions, or I can rebuild the bridge that's broken and get these systems to start flowing and functioning again. And that's what is so exciting, because with the fix, we have the phenomenal product that does the majority of all those things. Like I said, it's the first domino. It turns everything on. And now we're bringing along these sister products, or whatever you want to call them, these hero products that are going to go in and start making all those things start working better and faster. And that's where we're going to start seeing these results. For the people we already have that's on the berry product, the Immunin 5, we're already seeing phenomenal results because they've been on the fix for months and months. It's already primed and ready to go. So that's the biggest thing that I'm going to look at. When I have all three of these products, we're going to see a lot more phenomenal reactions or results-based healthcare. Okay.